Welcome back, Duelist. Casual Duelist here. So I said I was going to give you guys some of the combos, like what you could do with this deck. And I figured there's no better way than to show you guys. Now, I'm not going to do any test draws today because I'm just not feeling it. I don't know. Just a randomization when it's just easier to talk about certain cards and what they're going to do. And like the best ones are probably Fancia, Dreamia, obviously Elegance. Elegance is great. Cooley is definitely like a boss level character. Gracie is very good. The Jackal King. And there's the Cerberus. There's my gates and stuff. And we'll talk about the Dragon Shrine real quick. Dragon Shrine just being an extra foolish burial. And really, I think that's all we need to talk about in the main deck to get you guys like sort of straightened out on like what some good plays are. So, if you end up with Dragon Shrine or you end up with the Foolish Burial, the best play is to honestly send the Darkwurm before you've played any monsters to the board. Once he's in the discard pile, he'll be able to special summon himself back while you control no monsters. You can only use each effect of him per turn, once per turn. But by special summoning him, you get his first effect, which allows you to add the Supreme Gate Pendulum monster to your hand, which allows us to get Gate 0. And Gate 0's real effect here isn't to be even played. We just want to scale 0, so that like when we're using Cutia on 1, we can sort of she's a 1-star, so her scale's 8, my bad. When we use her on 8, we basically want to give ourselves an out to be able to play anything that's 1 through 7 by use of pendulum scales. So that's really the workings here, and that's the major play. Again, Darkwurm can help you start to build a board, which is fantastic. And there's another thing that you can interact with real quick too, and that would be the spellcasters portion. So if you start with Cerberus and maybe say that Dragon Shrine, you already have access to literally all 5 of these cards off 2. So what you do in that instance is you could play the Cerberus to scale, break him because you don't have another scale. This gets you Jackal King to hand. Now you can either put the Jackal King in the scale or you can hold it to your hand, perform the Dragon Shrine to the Darkwurm, Darkwurm to the field, Gate 0 to the hand, play the Jackal, pop the Jackal, get the Cerberus. Cerberus will go to your extra zone because he was being played from the top of the extra deck, at which point then you can play your Gate 0. And once you have, again, if you have Cutia, you have that 1-star that's got the 8 scale, you can actually bring back your Jackal King as well. And what this is going to do is give you a lot of spot control. And it's going to help set you up because this guy, I want to say he was a 7. Nope, he's an 8. So 8's going to set us up for like Dingerusu, which is still very good. Should you need to go into that. Outside of all that, let's say you don't draw into any of those things. The next best thing is to actually get Sulfur Chord Elegance. It's great to open with because Elegance plus putting any one of your Sulfur Chords on the top of your extra deck face up lets you set an odd and even scale. And as you guys remember from the deck profile, there were a lot of effects that were, you could do this if it's even, but you could do this as long as you have a scale that is a Sulfur Chord, but if it's also even / or it's odd, do this effect too, or do this effect instead. So it does make the cards better, and that's the second effect. If you've already got one of the scales you want, you can just play this and play another Sulfur Chord. Doesn't need to be even or odd. You can just immediately scale it. And then the last one, you get to add 2 cards, one odd and even pendulum scale from your zones to the extra deck face up to draw 2 cards. So mid-game, when you've already got extra cards in your hand that you can go ahead and drop, and you already have, say, a really good Link monster. Let's say you guys played into Celine because you guys were using the spellcaster portion, the mythical beasts. Then you do have that triple point back, which will allow you to maximize the play from your extra deck and allow you guys to actually, board more cards at a time. Outside of that, it's just important to know, like, Cooley is kind of the boss. It is special summonable by attributing 2 pendulum monsters, and it's another great way to get, like, Darkwurm off the field, should you have it. Or insert card here. Again, remembering that Dreamia is the one that gets special summoned from the hand as long as you have a Solfachord in a scale. So that's a really good quick setup, again, just on like a Dragon Shrine or a Foolish Burial. You could do that. And then you tribute 2 Pendulum monsters, special summon this, and then once per turn you can target a face-up card your opponent controls, or up to 2 if you have an odd scale. Negate the effects of the cards until the end of the opponent's turn. So again, if we're just trying to break boards and do something sort of Dark Ruler-esque, very good, very strong. And again, that's why it's a 2. And then when an effect monster on the field activates its effect when it has an attack equal to or lower than the highest pendulum scale times 300. And again, the highest scale I think I have in here, because I didn't really read the mythicals real quick. They're 4s. So the highest is 8. So if it's 2400 or less, should Cutia be scaled up, you can destroy that monster. Now, again, that's going to activate much like Ghost Ogre and Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. So if the monster needs to be on the field for resolution of the effect, you get the negate. But if not, they still play through. But it's still a bit of spot removal, so it's very cool boss. Grace is important because when you normal or special summon this card, you get a Sulfur Chord spell trap. And again, this is a great way to add extra elegance or your field spell. And then you got Fancia. Fancia is the same thing, except gives you a Sulfur Chord pendulum monster to the hand. And like I said, Dreamia just is a nice little extender. And if we just basically quick look over the extra deck, one of my favorite plays here is on rank 7. It's the Odd Eyes Absolute to Odd Eyes Vortex. So Absolute Dragon can block some attacks, or if he leaves the field, you can end up getting into the Vortex Dragon, and then when it's a special summon, you target an opponent's face-up attack position monster. Remembering links can't exist in defense mode, you could go ahead and bounce that. And since we are playing a full-on pendulum build, we get the next effect too for some extra control. When a spell trap or another monster's effect is activated as a quick effect, shuffle 1 face-up pendulum from your extra deck back into your deck, negate the activation, and destroy the card. So once per turn, you get a very powerful negate that's actually really cool, and I think it looks awesome. I don't know. Personal opinion. The rest is all tech, and honestly, you guys play it the way that you guys feel best. I always like Abyss Dweller in most decks. Dangerousu, I saw the rank 8 opportunity, so I went with it. Exciton Knight's always my failback, especially when playtesting doesn't go super well for me. This deck did break even more often than going positive during playtests, so Exciton Knight made its seat in here for the times I had to do the return from behind wins. And then Tornado Dragon's just a nice little utility. Back row's not a real big deal, but I just wanted to splash him in there. I did put in the Apollosa because Apollosa is good. Boral Sword because I still don't own, Access Code Talker. The IP Nightmares, very favored play by me, and like anybody else who's into them, Link Karibo is kind of cool because you can kind of reuse it. 2 that might not work for everybody is Relinquished Anima. I know I think he was from Dual Overload, so not a lot of availability, but I don't think his price is too high. But sometimes the effect of trying to line up the opponent's monster card with that point arrow to just go ahead and vacuum that card off the field, sometimes that just doesn't line up right. So feel free to play anything else you like here. Same thing with Celine. Again, I'm only running like the 2 spellcasters, so I've only got like 6 spellcasters in the whole deck. And even in the extra deck, I don't think anybody else is a spellcaster. We got Machine, Sea Serpent, Dragon, Fiend, Dragon, Worm, Fairy, Dragon, Cybers, Fiend, Cybers. Okay, so Anima could be used. But again, so that gives you like 7 options. And again, we're really using it for a resurrection effect. And most of the time when I did this, I ended up getting back my Anima just because. But again, Anima is kind of weaker in the back row. It's more or less I did it for a Link build at that point. So you guys could place whatever you guys like there. If you guys want to put in a Borreload Dragon, you guys could put Borreload in there. you guys like underclock taker, not a bad one. You guys could probably put in barricade board blocker for the field spell. That'd probably help. And I think it'll help actually protect out your scales a little bit. Electromite would have been amazing, but, you know, ban lists are a thing. So that's about it. Not a terribly long video. Again, no test hands because I'm under a little bit of time restraint here. So just not doing it this time. I do hope that you guys enjoyed this. Next time, I hope not to be as chatty about the nonsense. And I'll see you guys on the next video. You guys have a great day. Later.